There are so many hidden details in Demon Slayer's openings, and in this video I'll break down some of the most shocking, like the fact that all upper moons were seen in as early as episode 1, and how Demon Slayer slowly revealed even more details over time. If you haven't caught up to at least the 3rd season of Demon Slayer, The Swordsmith Village, then spoiler alert. During the Entertainment District's opening, when it shows the boys, behind them we can actually see the owners of each respective house that they later infiltrate. But that's not all. At the opening of the first episode of the Mugen Train arc, we actually see a girl that resembles Nezuko's human form. Here's another interesting change they did from the manga. In his first fight with a demon, this would have been the temple demon, we saw where the demon's body fell off a cliff and hit a rock. But in the manga, the demon's body actually splattered. Yikes. Episode 4 of Demon Slayer was mostly an anime exclusive episode, with most of the events all taking place within a single manga panel. But the animators went ahead and made sure we got some incredible animation of Daki cooking Tanjiro's meal, Tanjiro getting his haircut, and Tanjiro finally receiving his warding mask from his master, Daki. Tanjiro and Nezuko can speak to the dead. Well, maybe. This may be something special that's shared between them, because we've seen several times throughout the series with them communicating with their dead family members. Well, mainly Tanjiro, that is. So it's a highly plausible fact. Within the same opening, it actually shows Tanjiro's story of the first season of Demon Slayer, starting with him carrying Nezuko, his training, the final selection, meeting Zenitsu and Inosuke, and even Musan in chronological order. But that wasn't enough. We also get to see his battles with demons, showcasing their demon blood arts. We also get a great shot of all the Hashira and then the Natagumo arc. But there's something I bet you didn't notice. It's only after the Hashira meeting episodes that in the opening now it showcases all the Hashira faces. Pretty cool, right? Did you know that some demons like Akaza and Daki were seen in the very first episode of the anime? Within the opening scenes, when we first see Musan standing before 6 figures, of course these are the top 6 demons, as we see both Akaza and Daki standing there. And if you've read the manga, you know that the others are also the top demon moons as well. Really interesting that the series would show them this early. But it just doesn't stop there. When it comes on to Tanjiro's hands, we can't ever see a time when the studio didn't get it right. You see, due to his intense training, we saw that his hands were badly worn down. And due to his constant training, it's only natural that calluses would form and his hands would be incredibly rough. We are reminded about that every single time his hands are shown on screen, and even in the manga too. You know, I found something within the Wisteria episode. I noticed that Inosuke was wearing his old clothes after he was seen wearing some new ones, only to be asked to put on some new robes once more. This doesn't seem to fit within the story anywhere, and it seems to be a continuity error. If it is, then it would be the first one I've ever spotted. Let me know in the comments below if you think it was a continuity error as well. If you didn't notice, our heroes go through certain changes throughout the entire series, but most noticeably would be that of Inosuke. The first time we met him, he behaved like a wild animal, but it seems to have changed when they headed off to the Natagumo mountains and came back down. After that, he calmed down a little bit, even holding on to Tanjiro, proving just how much he trusts him now. Aww. Both Kanao and Shinobu wears accessories of the previous flower Hashira as a homage to her. Shinobu wears her Hiyori, while Kanao wears one of her hair accessories, which to say the least shows how much they loved and adored her. Though it's been implied that there are or were many, Kanao is the only implicitly stated Tsuguko in the entire Demon Slayer series. Though Tanjiro and the gang came very close to being the Tsuguko of Rengoku and Tengen. Both Enmu and Musan have the most westernized style of dressing in the entire anime. And with it being the Taisho period in Japan's history, it really says a lot about the transitions the fashion and culture was going through at the time. If you want to learn more about this, check out our video on 10 historical connections that Demon Slayer has to Japanese culture. It's a real eye-opener. Here's something you've never heard about the flower Hashira before. As a human, though she was a merciless demon-killing machine, she was much like Tanjiro, in that she understood that being a demon wasn't most of their faults, but never failed to cut a demon's neck. But she always wore a smile and always had kind words to part with a demon before she sent them to the afterlife. Some of them even said she was a benevolent maiden. Most, if not all, of the current Hashira have had run-ins with demons who influenced their life to turn them into demon slayers. But did you know that it was Gyomei who saved Kanae and Shinobu from a brutal death at the hands of a demon who killed their parents? Tragic, if you ask me. If I haven't said this before, let's clear the air. The title Kimetsu no Yaiba literally translates to demon slaying blade, which if you look at it is a pretty great play on words, since demon slayers use blades to slay demons. Right on the nose, I'd say. Within the second episode where Tanjiro was fighting the mechanical doll Yoriichi Type 0, there was a whole 2 pages of manga content that was skipped. Right after Tanjiro gets knocked to the curb by the doll with wooden arms, Kotetsu lets Tanjiro know that the doll has some settings that he can turn up the difficulty, which Muichiro didn't know about, which simply means that Tanjiro has the potential to grow much more from this doll, even with Gyu making an appearance. Pretty cool if you ask me, but why did the anime skip this? We spoke about masks of the Swordsmith village earlier, but we didn't mention one key detail. Kotetsu is said to look just like the mask he wears. This fact was told to us directly by Tanjiro and Nezuko at the end of episode 2 of the Swordsmith village, and rewatching this episode, I saw parts of his face. His rosy cheeks are a dead giveaway. I'm not too sure about those eyebrows though, cause man, those things need a lawnmower or something. We haven't spoke about Genya much since the season started, and don't worry, unlike me, the animators didn't neglect him either. He got his own anime exclusive scenes, one of which is when he was searching for his swordsmith to pick up his weapon, but he didn't see him and realized that his Nichiren blade was ready, which he promptly collected. But it didn't end there. Another one was when he shot the heads off the Hantengu clones. The scene of him reloading his gun was also an anime exclusive. Hats off to you, Genya, for bringing a gun to a sword fight. Hands down, one of the best decisions I've seen made in Demon Slayer in a really long time. Censorship in China is very strict, so much so that many of the revealing outfits of some of the characters, like Daki and Tengen's wives, were altered to make them a little bit more modest. Kinda looks funny if you ask me. When Gyutaru was berating Tanjiro about his looks, these were the same words that were used on him when he was a human, being abused by these witches. Furthermore, when Daki regenerated her leg, she also regenerates her clothes and shoes as well, as demons are able to create objects with their own flesh. In the case of Daki, she can create multiple flesh-like obi that resemble cloth, and even materials hard enough to resemble shoes, or slippers in her case. Very, very heavy slipper. There is one fact that I'll spoil. All the Hashira are currently subscribed to Varistudiostv, and they're doing tryouts, so if you don't want to miss out on your chance to become a powerful Hashira yourself, hit that subscribe button with notifications on. Another thing that I noticed is that during the Daki versus Tanjiro fight, when she was held by the leg, many think that Tanjiro was the one who cut off her leg, but that's not quite correct. You see, he held it so tight that when she kicked him, it ripped right off. Seems the Entertainment District arc opening is filled with little details that we would all miss, and I'm sure this one would be super easy to miss as it's only a few frames. When Inosuke was running on rooftops, we see Tengen's mice running alongside him, showing not only that they are important enough to get a cameo, but also their sequence of appearance with Inosuke first. During the opening of the Entertainment District, we get a cameo from this young man. He's the same young man that gets his hand cut off by Daki later in the series. And I thought the guy that got punched in his face by Inosuke was unlucky. Man, Inosuke accidentally hits this guy in the face. Coincidentally, he's the same guy that gets punched in the face when Inosuke is trying to capture Daki's own sash, while he was making its getaway. Talk about unlucky, dude. Many anime and manga play homage to the artist's favorite series, and Demon Slayer is no different. It has popped up in a few other properties. One such manga is Tonikaku Kawaii. In chapter 137, you can clearly see Obanai and Mitsuri enjoying a meal together. The previous water pillar, Sakonji Urokodaki, wears a warding mask to hide his face and the face of his students. In fact, he's always made new ones for every student he's had. But what many people didn't know is that to design his mask, he uses beings from Japanese folklore. His very masks are based on the Tengu, a being that's known for warding off evil spirits, much like the Demon Slayers try to do. You might even recognize that I said Tengu there, and you might have guessed it that Urokodaki's warding masks aren't the only Tengu references in Demon Slayer. In the Swordsmith Village arc, we get introduced to the number 4 upper rank demon, Hantengu. And as you might have guessed, his name contains a Tengu reference, but that's not all. Just like a normal Tengu spirit, he even has a form that flies. I'm really happy that Demon Slayer is much deeper than what most think, and has these deep-seated Japanese folklore embedded right in the story. Want to learn more amazing facts to level up your Demon Slayer knowledge? Click on one of the 2 videos on your screen right now, or join me again for the next Demon Slayer video. Peace out, stay safe out there.